Hello and welcome to episode 94 of my podcast all about knitting and crochet in my yarn shop here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm Kiko and today is May 3rd, 2021. Today I'm wearing two very special things. The cowl that I knit is called Hollyberry Cowl, and I think that I got the pattern from a piecework magazine. That was, I think it's the only American magazine that I ever had sent to me as a physical magazine and not just the digital version. And I think that's where I found the pattern for this beautiful cowl. It's fairly long. It's long enough to pull over your head. I'll show you in a minute. And it has this wide edge at the bottom, so it falls around your shoulders in what I think very nice way. And the yarn that I used is very special. This is pure Angora yarn from a German company or family. The company name is Seidenhase, which translates to silk rabbit. And I know that they care for their animals in a very loving way and they treat them very well. And so they get the yarn from their animals and they dye it themselves. And then you can order it or you can buy it at times when there were still like yarn festivals. That's where I got this skein. Yeah, it's this really bright pink. I love it. And it's so soft and it's so warm. And it's one of the two things that I can wear underneath my bike helmet in winter to keep warm and still wear my helmet safely. Yeah, so that's the cowl. And then the pullover I'm wearing is the Calibrate sweater by Alex Dock. And I was able to test knit it before she first published it. And the special thing about this sweater, I'll just stand up quickly, give you a quick look, is it's called Calibrate sweater because it's not a set number of stitches and rows and stuff that you're supposed to knit, but you put your own measurements into a something, and then you get your own set of numbers. So every pullover you knit is sort of designed specifically for you. And that's a very new concept, I think, in sweater designing and in knitting your own garments. And I love it. I think it's fantastic that you can knit the pullover exactly how you want it and exactly how your body is. For example, for me, I'm fairly small. I have very short arms. I always have to change things when I follow a pattern. And on the one hand, I got used to it and I know what to do. But especially for people who are not so used to knitting garments or who are new to knitting garments, it's great to have a pattern where you can put in your own numbers and you know exactly what to do. The one thing you have to make sure is that your gauge is correct. So the pattern assumes that you have the correct gauge. So I'd be really careful in gauge knitting, in swatching for this pullover. And then the other thing is the measurements that you put in, you have to think about how much ease you want or do not want. So when I put my measurements into this program, for the front and back, I knew that I wanted a bit of ease, and I'm used to sort of calculating that in when I look at numbers for patterns. But I normally never ever measure my arms. So for my arms, I just put in the measurements of my arms, which is why the sleeves fit exactly. There's no ease, no positive ease. And by the time I realized what was happening, I just didn't want to rip back. So I left them the way they are. I'm still wearing a shirt underneath, so they're not too tight. But usually I like them a bit more loose. So I do want to knit the pattern again, and then I will make sure that I add a few centimeters to my arm measurements to make sure it's as loose as the front and back. With the front and back, I think it's perfect. It has the waist shaping, it has the hip shaping, and then it has a split hem. The back is longer than the front, which I think is very nice, and I just love the rounded edge. So the ribbing comes round like this with short rows, and I think it looks beautiful. And I think this is the main reason that I wasn't really happy with the split hem I knit on my flax pullover a few weeks or months back. And I should have gone back to this pattern and copied the hem from this pattern, but I didn't. I just wanted to see what it looks like if you make it simple and straight. It's okay, I still wear it, but this one is so much more beautiful. So if you want a pullover that fits you perfectly, that matches your body, then this is the perfect pullover. I think the next time I knit the pullover, I will try and make the neckline smaller, because I'm not too fond of such a big neckline. But that's, I'm sure, is something I can figure out how to do. Yeah, otherwise it's a great sweater. It's opal yarn, of course. It's DK weight sock yarn. It wears and washes really well. I've worn it quite a few times since I finished it. I don't think you can tell at any point that it has been worn, that it has been washed. And one of the reasons I love to wear this cowl with the pullover is because it's so wide and it completely covers the open neckline. And it's the same kind of pink that's in the opal yarn, so I think these two really go together well. Yep. So that's what I'm wearing today. On to finished objects. Today I have one finished object, and in times of sock madness, I think it's not a surprise that it's a pair of socks. And I have finished my Believe in Yourself socks from Sock Madness round 3. And so far, these are the longest socks that we have knit. These socks are as long as my arm. So they are exactly as long as my sleeve. It's amazing. If they weren't too tight up here, they would almost make knee-high socks for me, but my calf is too wide. I can't fit this bit over my calf, so I'll either have to wear it like this, which wouldn't show the beautiful pattern, or I will have to give them to somebody else. I don't know yet what to do with them, but just for you to have a look at the pattern, as I told you last week, this is a 2-color brioche pattern that has a leaf design like this. This runs on the whole front of the sock, and then at the end you finish after half the pattern, and then the toe is knitted with just the main color, and then it's a sort of lace pattern that finishes the leaf off. On the sides you have this knit one color A, knit one color B pattern. Don't know if there's a name for it, on both sides. And then the back has this beautiful 2-color leaf pattern. So you knit 3 leaves, and then you start the heel increases, and then you have more leaves on the back of the heel, which I think looks really beautiful. For somebody as small as me, it's way too long. So if I were to knit them again, which I might do because I really like the pattern, I would just knit 1 leaf and then do the heel increase, or I would probably do a different heel, because with all the increase heels, they just end up being too big here. They're too loose and too wide for me, for my foot. But I know that a lot of people who find their knitted socks are too tight around here, they usually like this kind of heel. So this is the I don't know what this part of the sock is called, but anyway, so you knit this bit, and then in the foot it's just the brioche pattern and the simple pattern, so that was easy to knit, and then a fairly simple toe. As usual, I just used the yarn the way it came, so the colors aren't exactly the same, which I think is great, especially with this kind of yarn. It doesn't make a big difference. Yeah, I've been saying, if every sock in the Sock Madness gets longer and bigger, then probably by round 7 we'll be knitting over knees. So I have no idea what's going to happen. But yeah, I'm really happy that I finished these. I sent my email and they looked at the pictures on my Ravelry page, and my socks were accepted, and I'm on to round 4, which will start probably next week. So officially the round 3 will go until Sunday morning, but from what I've seen, I wanted to check the numbers, how many people have finished or not, but I forgot. Anyway, when I think I was number 11 in my team, on my team to finish my socks, and there are 30 people going on to round 4. So it's taken quite a long time for people to finish their socks. Of course, there were some that were really quick, like 2-3 days, which I think is amazing. But a lot of people, so I think last time I checked, there were less than half the spots filled. So a lot of people are still knitting. A lot of people had difficulty with the brioche pattern. So I don't think that the next round will start straight away when round 3 is done. So I don't think it'll start on Sunday. So it will be sometime next week. So this week I can knit on all my other projects. And because it took me a long time to finish these socks. I started Sunday morning and I finished them Friday night. So I spent almost all week knitting these socks. I photographed them on Saturday and that's when I sent the email. And so I didn't have a lot of time to spend on my other projects. I managed to knit on all of them, but not a lot. So this week I have a lot of time. I will try and spend as much time as I can on all my other projects, maybe start something new just for fun. And then next week I will probably be knitting Sockmadness socks again. Okay, so much to my finished objects. On to works in progress, and I will continue with other socks. And the first pair I'm going to show you are the London socks, and these are a pattern by Mina Philipp, her Around the World in 8 Socks ebook. This was pattern number 1, and I'm knitting a opal sock yarn from their series Beauty, which is really soft and has some special stuff in it to make it softer. And I have just put in a sock blocker in German size 40-41. That's the size my friend wears, and I have decided it's time to start the toe. So I finished knitting the pattern, and I thought on the blocker you can see the pattern a little better. It's just a knit purl pattern. It's not complicated. You just have to pay attention to which stitches to knit and which to purl. I put in a fish lips kiss heel. It's not in the pattern. Mina uses a garter stitch short row heel, but I prefer the fish lips kiss heel. I did start knitting stockinette on the back of the foot for a few centimeters before I started the heel, and then for the foot I just knit stockinette on the sole and continued the pattern on top of the foot. And yeah, the good thing about knitting 2 at a time is I can knit both toes at the same time, and then I'll be done. And I think my friend is looking forward to getting her socks. And the other pair of socks I'm knitting on are the Paris socks from the same ebook by Mina Philipp, the Knitting Expat. And I'm using the Opal Abo yarn from the Pattern Battle. I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but it's quite funny. With the Pattern Battle, everybody uses the same yarn, but we all have to use different patterns. With the Sockmadness, we all use the same pattern, but I think in probably 99% of the cases, everybody's using a different yarn. It might happen that 2 people choose the same yarn and the same color, but I think I've never seen 2 pairs of socks that look exactly the same. So that's quite interesting to have the same pattern in different yarns and different colors. And here we have the same yarn, the same color, and everybody knits a different pattern. I love Ravelry. That's one of the reasons I love it, because you get to see all those pictures and you get so much inspiration and so much information. I love it. So this is what it looks like. I changed the pattern a little bit to break up these pattern bits. I did another fish lips kiss heel, but I changed that up a bit. So I continued the knits and purls from the pattern into the heel. I really like the look of that. And all I've done is add a few patterns, a few rounds of knitting. So I think last week I was about here. I just finished the heel, and I think I added 2 of those patterns. Yeah, So this is just a little something. It's my on the go knitting at the moment because I know this pattern by heart. It's a small thing I can fit in any bag, and I can just add a few stitches here and there when I'm out and about and waiting in line or doing whatever. Yeah, that's all the socks. It's May, the next pattern out of the ebook was released. It's the Rome patterns, and it has some smock stitches. It looks very nice. I really like to knit that, but I'm not quite sure which yarn to use and who to knit for. Also, I got the bonus pattern for finishing my Believe in Yourself socks from the Sockmadness, and that's another really nice pattern that I'm thinking of knitting, but I haven't made up my mind yet. So maybe I'll start a new pair of socks this week. Maybe I won't. We'll see. Okay, that's all the socks. On to pullovers, and I'll start with the mohair pullover again, the verse sweater from the Geek knits, and nothing much happened there. I really wanted to knit on it more, but for some reason, for Sockmadness reasons, I didn't really get to knit a lot on it. So all I did was add a few more rounds of the main color plus the darker glitter yarn, and I haven't even tried it on again. I wanted to try it on like every 5 or 10 rounds, and I haven't managed to do that. So hopefully this week this is going to grow and I'll get to try it on several times. Then the next pullover is the Gletscher pullover by Ruchi Locatelli out of her Interpretations number 5. And I knit quite a bit on that yesterday or Saturday. No, I think it was yesterday. And I was really hoping to get to the point where I add in the next color, but I didn't manage it. So this is the back, this is the front. I think you can tell that it has grown a bit. I tried it on yesterday to see how far I'm going to knit and if I stick to the pattern or not. So this is the sleeve. The sleeve doesn't have the garter ridges. The front and the back have the garter ridges, and they have the increases in the middle. I'm quite happy with the fit so far. I've decided that I'm going to knit all the rounds in the yoke that are in the pattern, and I only need to, I think I need to put in one more pattern repeat. That's always 6 rounds, and then I'm going to fade in the next color. And I will just do 2 rounds new color, 2 rounds old color for 2 pattern repeats, and then switch to the new color. And so I'm going to knit the amount of rows that the pattern states for my size, but I've changed one thing. In the pattern for the first bit, you always increase 8 stitches every other round. So there's 2 stitches for each sleeve and 2 stitches for front and back. And then for the last couple of rounds, depending on your size, in my size, it's for the last 24 rounds, you keep increasing for the front and back, but you only increase for the sleeves every 4 rounds instead of every other round. And I decided that I don't like that because I don't like tight sleeves, as I already mentioned with this pullover. And looking at the pictures and at the numbers, I found her sleeves rather on the tight side, let's put it that way. And she probably likes it that way, but I decided I want them a bit looser. So I kept increasing every other round for the sleeve as well as for the front and back. And so I think it's like 4 or 5 more rounds, and then I can add in the second color. So I'll definitely manage to do that this week. I'll make sure I get that done. And then once I finish those rounds, I will stop knitting this color and I will start knitting the second color, except for the neckline. And I think the way the pattern is written, after you finish the yoke, you knit the front and back, then you knit the collar, and then you knit the sleeves. And I think that's a very clever idea, because if you knit the sleeves without the ribbing up here, you're not really sure how long your sleeves are. They can seem longer than they are because once you put the ribbing in here, it'll tighten it up a bit and the sleeves can look shorter. So I think it's clever to first do the collar and then the sleeves. And as I want to do the sleeves first and then the front and back last, I will probably, once I finish the yoke, first put the ribbing in here and then start knitting the sleeves. Many plans, but yeah, really looking forward to starting my second color. And the third jumper I'm knitting is the cotton jumper, the modern art pullover out of the book, The Art of Circular Yokes. And this is this pullover, this is the back. These are the short rows I did in the first color, and then I changed to the second color. And what I did with this pullover is I knit that in a situation when I couldn't concentrate on my Sockmadness socks. And this is just knit stitches with a few decreases on the sides, but that's something that I can do while I concentrate on something else. So that's how this got knit on. And I finished the first ball of the dark yarn, and I started the waist decreases fairly early, and as I told you before, I'm doing them more quickly than they are written in the pattern because I'm short. And this is what this looks like. So this is the direction of the stitches, and this is the decrease for my waist. These are the waist decreases, and I will probably now knit the sleeves. And I think it's the same as with knitting the ribbing up here and the length of the sleeve. I think once the sleeve is in, it might sort of change how this sits on the body, because now this sort of droops down, but once the sleeve is attached, I'll know how long my pieces are exactly. And right now I haven't quite reached my waist yet, so I need to add a few rounds, but to be sure that it sits the way it's supposed to sit, I think it's better to have the sleeves in. And as I'm planning to knit short sleeves, they should go fairly quickly, so that's going to be the next step in this pullover. Yep, and then hopefully the weather will change so that I can wear this pullover. Yeah, that's all the pullovers. That takes us to blankets and knit-alongs. I'll start with the dinosaur blanket. I did crochet 3 triangles last night, and then I had to stop crocheting, not only because it was late and I was tired, but because I ran out of yarn. So I'm not going to show the dinosaurs this week. So if you want to see the dinosaurs, I showed them last week. This week, all I did was crochet those triangles. They go on the edge of the blanket, and then the dinosaurs sit in between these triangles. I crocheted 3 of them. I had 2 done before, so now I have 5 of these. I need 10, so this is half the triangles I need. And then the last triangle I knit last night, let me see which one is the last. Or maybe I put it here. I ran out of yarn with, I'm missing 3 double crochets. So this should look like this. So it's those 3 double crochets, a chain and another double crochet, and all I could do was the 1 double crochet, and then I ran out of yarn. So I have to remember to take another ball of yarn home. And yeah, then I need to crochet 5 more of those triangles, and I need to crochet 4 more of these squares. So I have 2 squares that I did before, need 4 of these, 5 of the triangles, and then I have all the pieces. Then all I need are, I think, 18 little white horns that I have to crochet and sew onto the dinosaurs, and then crochet everything together, and then crochet a border around. And before I do that, I have to decide which border to do. So There's still quite a bit of work, but I am getting there, slowly but surely. Yeah, that was the first blanket, and that brings us to the 2 knit-alongs that I am running on my channel and in my Ravelry group. And one of them is for dishcloths. And I had knit one dishcloth that I showed 2 weeks before as a finished object. And last week I didn't show anything, but last night, before I did the dinosaur triangles, I picked out a pattern and started crocheting a dishcloth. So the first one was knit, the second one is a crochet one. I will probably keep switching between knit and crochet. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. I forgot to write down what it's called. I'll note it on the Ravelry page so you can have a look. And it's a free pattern, and there's a video tutorial also how to work the stitch. It's quite simple. I think if you look at the video, anyone who can crochet this pattern. I'm using Cotton Universal by Wolle Rödel. It's the company I used to work for, and I have a full bag of leftover yarn in this cotton, and I'm trying to use it up to for these dishcloths because it's a bit thicker than the cotton yarn that I'm selling here. And some people have said that if the cotton is mercerized, is that how you say it in English? It's not quite, it doesn't work as well as a dishcloth, I don't know, but this one isn't, so it's not as shiny. And I think this is the perfect yarn that we used to sell for pot holders, but I think it also works wonderful as a dishcloth. But I think I've made one before, and it's almost falling apart because I keep using it, and that's why I started this knit along, so I get more dishcloths. And yeah, looking forward to finishing this and using this. And yeah, this is one of the knit-alongs. And then the second knit-along is the Optic blanket. And last week I showed you this square, and the jumper I was wearing, it was leftover yarn from that jumper. I should have used this yarn for this week's square. Forgot. I didn't know I was going to wear this pullover. But at some point, oh no, can't wear the pullover again so quickly. Doesn't matter. Anyway, last week I had knit this square, and I said I wanted to show you the leg warmers I knit out of the same yarn, just so we could look at the difference of knit. This is not stockinette stitch, but it looks like stockinette. It's a brioche pattern, but this is garter stitch, so the stitches look different, but both have black as the contrasting color. So I thought it'd be fun just to hold them next to each other and look at it. Oh, and this is the yarn by itself without the black, this ribbing. Yeah, so I thought it was quite interesting, quite funny to see. And then I can turn the leg warmers around, and I can sort of have the black on the outside and just a bit of the blue showing. And again, it's a different effect that you get, even though it's the same color, the same yarn. Yeah, I like these leg warmers. And last week I knit this square, and I can't show you what I knit with this yarn because I don't really remember. I think I knit kids' mittens for the neighbor's kid, but I'm not 100% sure, and even if it was that, I can't show you because I don't have them anymore. But this is the third blue square that I've knit, and instead of knitting straight, I decided to keep this as the center square, and then I'm going to add one here and add one there just for the fun of it, and then fill in the corners. Yeah, but I will definitely have to knit the leftover from this pullover into this square because it's blue, and I want to combine all the blues. Yeah, so that's everything I knit and crocheted last week. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!